Hello, this is the Vietnam Social News Update for October 10, 2025. Date of news coverage, October 10, 2025. Politics. Vietnam's political spotlight is dominated today by the high-profile state visit of General Secretary To Lum to North Korea, running October 9th through 11th. This marks the first trip by a top Vietnamese leader to Pyongyang in nearly 2 decades, coinciding with ceremonies celebrating the 80th anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea. The visit carries strong symbolic weight, as both sides commit to taking bilateral ties to new heights and mutually affirm ideological solidarity and political trust. Several analysts suggest Vietnam uses this moment to project its diplomatic posture amid shifting geopolitics. While the visit seems rooted in communist bloc camaraderie, it also signals Vietnam's nuanced bamboo diplomacy, a strategy of flexible, adaptive foreign relations. By reconnecting visibly with North Korea, Hanoi appears to remind major powers it retains independent agency. Observers interpret the trip as a message that Vietnam, though broadening ties with the US, Japan, and Southeast Asian partners, will not be drawn too narrowly into any single camp. Domestically, institutional reform continues to shape Vietnam's internal politics. Earlier in 2025, the government completed a sweeping reorganization, the elimination of the district level of local government and the merging of many provincial and communal units, aiming to reduce bureaucracy and strengthen governance at the grassroots. These reforms, while disruptive, are meant to bolster administrative efficiency and enable quicker response to challenges such as floods, economic shocks, and internal demands for accountability. Now, let's move to the economy. Vietnam's latest figures show remarkable resilience. GDP in the third quarter expanded by 8.22 to 8.23% year-on-year, outperforming analysts' expectations and surpassing the previous quarter's rate. This high growth holds despite the imposition of new 20% U.S. tariffs on Vietnamese exports starting in August. Over the first 9 months of 2025, the country registered a trade surplus of approximately $16.8 billion, with total trade turnover exceeding $680 billion. Export sectors like coffee, chemicals, and electronics helped offset sharp declines in garments and footwear. The 20% tariffs have already hit several export segments hard. Footwear exports to the U.S. dropped by 27% in September, and textile exports also slid. In the worst-case scenario, some estimates suggest Vietnam could lose up to $25 billion in annual exports if the tariffs persist. To counter this, Vietnamese leaders are accelerating efforts to diversify markets, sign new trade deals, and reduce dependence on any single destination. To sustain momentum, the central bank is prioritizing growth. It plans 19 to 20% credit expansion for 2025, urging commercial banks to lower lending rates, while closely monitoring non-performing loans and speculative risk. Lending has already expanded by some 13.4% year-to-date. At the same time, Vietnam's upgrade by FTSE Russell from frontier to emerging market status sent its stock index surging to record highs. Experts predict an influx of international capital. Some projects estimate as much as $5 to $6 billion in the near term, with long-term inflows reaching up to $25 billion by 2030, assuming sustained reforms and macro stability. Society and culture. Next, in society and culture, Vietnam is reeling from extreme weather. Typhoon Matmo, which passed through the South China Sea toward northern Vietnam, triggered catastrophic flooding and landslides across provinces including Thanh Nguyen, Lang Son, Cao Bang, Bac Ninh, and parts of Hanoi. As of October 10, at least 15 people have died, 3 remain missing, and 8 are injured. The impact includes breaches of dikes, hydroelectric infrastructure damage, and historic river floods exceeding prior records. The disasters underscore the fragility of Vietnam's terrain, and the urgent need for climate adaptation and resilient infrastructure. Amid these challenges, the cultural and media landscape is evolving. In September 2025, Vietnam launched Vietnam Today, the country's first national 24/7 English-language international channel. It aims to serve as a window on Vietnam, broadcasting politics, business, culture, and tourism to global audiences. The initiative signals Hanoi's commitment to projecting a modern, outward-looking image and shaping its narrative in international media. In arts and creative industries, Vietnamese filmmakers, musicians, and digital creators continue to push hybrid aesthetics, blending local tradition with more global contemporary forms. In heritage cities like Hoi An, Hue, and Hanoi's Old Quarter, debates intensify over how to balance modernization and tourism with authenticity and community well-being. Cultural diplomacy is also active. Vietnam and North Korea have pledged to lift relations, and the two parties see renewed momentum to deepen cooperation in ideology, education, and political exchange. International relations. Finally, in international relations, Vietnam is recalibrating its diplomatic posture across multiple axes. The To Lum visit to North Korea reinforces historical and ideological ties, even as Vietnam expands engagement with US, Japan, South Korea, and ASEAN partners. Despite Western sanctions on Pyongyang, Hanoi's move suggests it wants to maintain relevant influence across ideological lines and preserve strategic maneuverability in a turbulent region. In multilateral and regional dynamics, Vietnam is also deepening its partnerships. Earlier in 2025, its relationship with Indonesia was upgraded to a comprehensive strategic partnership, elevating cooperation in trade, security, and people-to-people links. Vietnam continues to maintain or expand such strategic partnerships across Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, building buffers in an era of great power tension. At the same time, Vietnam's economic diplomacy is in overdrive. The FTSE upgrade not only enhances capital access, but gives Vietnam greater leverage in international finance circles. Hanoi is cultivating new investment ties, revisiting trade deals, and positioning itself as a regional logistics and innovation hub. In this evolving environment, Vietnam's foreign policy increasingly rests on balance, staying open, decisive, sovereign, and able to speak to multiple audiences without being locked into a single alliance. Thank you for listening to the Vietnam Social News Update. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you again tomorrow. This news summary is based on publicly available reports and rewritten uniquely for Vietnam Social News. VietnamNews.com is the official web address of Vietnam Social News. We are an independent platform, not affiliated with Vietnam News Agency or any government-owned media outlet.